right over here next to me. We are in this series looking at some of the mistranslations of the English Quran, not of the Arabic itself Quran. We're looking at how they translated from Arabic to English. And one of the things you need to do whenever, whether it's Arabic or whether it's English, you need to go back to the Arabic of the time period that the author intended. And one of the accusations we're getting, and that's why I want to bring up Murad quickly to shut this down before we go any further with any more of his episodes. The accusation is this, Murad. Who are you to say that the words have changed? How do you know that the words have changed? You're not there in the 7th century. You don't have a degree in archaic Arabic. So what gives you the right to say that this is what it used to be and now this is what it is today? Uh, Obviously, this is a question that not everybody's asking, just a few. Could you shut this argument down and help people realize that you are qualified, that this is something you have been working on for 5 years? Go ahead, tell the people what is it and where is it you get your authority from?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Smith, for having me once again. If the question is, am I qualified, meaning did I graduate from Al-Azhar or Al-Zaituna or these places where you actually get a degree in Islamic studies, which is from the 9th century understanding, then in this I am not that qualified. And I am grateful for that because I am not poisoned by the standard Islamic narrative. But how did I like, how did I pinpoint the Arabic words in the Quran and say with confidence that it means this and not that? Is the criteria is that I have checked the word in the Quran in every single context, in every single verse. This gives you a very powerful insight into what the Quran actually means. For example, when I talked about the word ayah, and the Quran says ayah, you can build it. It's something that you can build on the road. Then automatically you have to know that this is something tangible that you can touch. And I have given the word gay before. Gay used to mean someone who is flamboyant, and then now it definitely means homosexual.
Mhm.
So we do not have to go way back to prove something like this. It happened, the same thing happened with the Quran, because the Quran is probably written in the 8th century. That's if how far you can push it back. But with the Sunnah and the standard Islamic narrative, the furthest you can push it back would be the 9th and 10th century. So of course, like 200 years, a gap changes the wordings, changes the meaning altogether. That's why. And let me tell you just another thing is that this is an endeavor that I have done from scratch. And of course, it might be ridiculed at first, and people will not accept it at first because it's very new, a very new understanding for the words. Yes, sir.
Okay, and I just want to bring up two things, just so people are aware. Almost everyone that is criticizing Murad, and really there are only very few. If you look at the comments, the vast 99% of the people are in favor of what you're doing. I think because it is so new, and also because you are coming up with very reasonable responses. You are actually showing, and once you look at the words and you compare them with other contexts where those words are used in other parts of the Quran, you can see there's not a consistency. But here's what's interesting. Those who are critical, remember what you're critical of. You're using modern standard Arabic. And even those of you who have come to me and say, wait a minute, it is the Quran that created the Arabic we use today. That is the problem. It's not that the Quran created those words. Those words existed before the Quran was written. Arabic existed long before the Quran was written. It's that the words that are in the Quran have been codified and have been given their meaning by the standard Islamic narrative, by the Muslims who've come after the Quran was written. They were the ones that imposed their views on what this word meant in that context, in that verse. Because for many times it was because of a theological reasoning. We just went through a number of examples, two major examples of showing how they took biblical biblical stories and imposed it on the words they were there, though they were not being consistent elsewhere. So that's all you're doing. You're not going back and saying, I'm from the 7th century. I know exactly what these words mean from the 7th century. No one would be audacious to make that kind of comment. You're saying, no, there is a bias, there is an imposition that today people aren't aware of because of the fact that any time you look at the Quran, even in Arabic, the way you read it in Arabic has a bias imposed onto it by the scholars from the 9th, 10th, and 11th century. And so that's something that people need to know. I want to thank you for that. The second thing that we need to emphasize, and this you kind of implied it, and that is it happens in every language. This is not no language remains static. Words change depending on not only the context of the historical context, it depends on the choices people make. You gave a great example of gay, what it used to be when I was growing up, and what the word gay means today. And in just a period of 50 years, it has changed completely. It almost means the exact opposite of what it used to be. That is what happens when languages have an imposition, when you have a group or a major organization that wants to change the meaning of a word, like the homosexual lobby has done, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we need to know when that change happened. We need to know why it happened. And then we will run along with it. If you don't know what it used to be, and you want to confront Murad today because he is now using a meaning that is maybe different than what you're used to. So those of you who are Arabic speaking, remember, it happens in every language. It also happens in Arabic. Arabic is not unique. And that's why what Murad is doing us a great favor, because he is actually going back to see the context that it's used right through the Quran. And many times he has seen that there's no consistency. You have to be consistent. And also, you have to be aware that there are imposition of meanings on words. I think that's all we need to say. Anything more you want to add to that, Murad?
Yeah, just very quickly, we know that there is the standard Islamic narrative. We can call it the Sunni standard narrative also. When we talk about in the Quran, there is the surah of the fig. They say the fig and the olives, al-tin wa zaytun. You know what they say it in the Shia narrative and how they put it in the English? The fig and the zaytun would be Al-Hasan and Hussein.
Okay,
And this is anti-linguistics. Of course, the Quran never says that.
Yeah.
So this is all over the Quran, whether Sunni or Shia. And then it got into the language we are used to today. So we assume that what we know today, it is what the Quran meant back in the day, which is of course wrong.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Great stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for that. Even the way the Sunnis and the Shiites read words or way they interpret those words is going to be different. We have the same thing in Christianity. We have in the Greek, John chapter 1, verse 1, it says ho theos, which means the God, which means God, the definite article. But if you go to a New World Translation today, which is the Jehovah's Witnesses, though it says ho theos there in the Greek, they've just translated a God, not the God, but a God. So you can see this is going on even in Greek with English translations. Why are we surprised it's not happening also in Arabic with English translations? Okay, good stuff. Thank you so much. And that should calm this discussion down and help people understand that you know what you're doing, and you've done this for a reason, and you've taken 5 years to be systematic and painstakingly accurate, so that what you do put out there. Now, remember, these are white papers. We understand that. This is what your belief is. Come back on us. You've got the comments right below. See if you agree or disagree. We want to hear what you're going to say, and Murad will be watching those comments. But up till now, Murad, you've been doing a great job, and most people are right on board with you. God bless you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
This is Jay and Murad, over and out.